The CB radio crackled to life at 2:47 a.m., pulling me from the edge of sleep. I'd been hauling refrigerated goods across Montana for 16 years, and the late shifts had become my specialty. The voice that came through was breathless, panicked in a way that made my hands tighten on the steering wheel. "There's someone following me?" Black pickup. "No plates. He's been on me for 40 miles. I grabbed the receiver. "This is Bulldog eastbound on 94. What's your 20? "Mile marker 387. Please, I can't shake him. Every time I speed up, he speeds up. When I slow down, he gets closer." The fear in her voice was genuine. I'd heard plenty of pranks on the CB over the years. Bored drivers looking for entertainment in the dead hours. This wasn't that. "I'm about 12 miles behind you. Keep your speed steady. Don't pull over." What happened next changed something fundamental in how I saw the road. I pushed my rig harder than I should have, watching the speedometer climb. The highway stretched empty before me, that particular kind of darkness you only find in rural Montana, where the spaces between towns can swallow you whole. My headlights carved through the black, catching occasional reflector posts and the eyes of animals in the brush. The CB stayed quiet for 8 minutes. Then he's right on my bumper now. His high beams are on. I can't see anything in my mirrors. "Stay calm, I'm closing distance." "What are you driving?" "Red Honda Civic, Ohio plates." I crested a hill and saw them. Even from a mile back, the scene was wrong. The black pickup was maybe 3 feet from her rear bumper, high beams blazing, weaving slightly left and right like it was testing for an opening. Every time the Civic drifted toward the shoulder, the pickup matched the movement. "I see you. I'm the Freightliner coming up fast. When I flash my lights 3 times, I want you to hit your brakes hard, then accelerate. Can you do that?" "I think so." "Don't think. You need to do exactly what I say." I closed the gap to a 1/4 mile. The pickup's driver seemed oblivious to my approach, focused entirely on his prey. I could see the Civic, shaking slightly. She was gripping the wheel so hard the car was picking up her tremors. I flashed my lights once, twice, 3 times. She braked. The pickup nearly rear-ended her, swerving right. She punched the accelerator, and her little 4-cylinder engine screamed as she shot forward. In that moment of confusion, I pulled into the left lane and pushed my rig between them. The pickup fell back, dropping into my mirrors. I expected him to back off, to exit, to disappear into whatever hole he'd crawled from. Instead, he accelerated, pulling alongside my trailer in the right lane. That's when I saw his face in my side mirror. I've seen a lot in 16 years. Accidents that turned the highway into an abattoir. Drivers who fell asleep and woke up in the afterlife. But I'd never seen a face like that, completely blank, eyes fixed forward, mouth slightly open. No anger, no frustration, no emotion at all. Like looking at a mannequin behind the wheel. He matched my speed exactly, staying parallel to my trailer. The Civic was ahead now, pulling away. She'd gotten the message and was putting distance between herself and whatever this was. The pickup drifted closer to my trailer. Not aggressive, almost gentle. Then closer still until I heard the scrape of metal on metal. He was grinding his truck against my trailer, still maintaining perfect speed, still wearing that empty expression. I hit my air horn. The blast shattered the night loud enough to wake everything within 5 miles. He didn't react. Didn't flinch, didn't look over, didn't change speed. Just kept grinding his vehicle against mine, the sound of tearing metal mixing with the roar of our engines. I tapped my brakes, hoping he'd shoot ahead. He braked in perfect synchronization. I accelerated. He matched it. We were locked together, 2 vehicles moving as one at 75 miles per hour through the Montana darkness. The CB crackled. "What's happening? Are you okay?" I couldn't answer. Both hands were locked on the wheel as I fought to keep my rig stable with this maniac, physically attached to my trailer. The scraping grew louder, and I saw sparks in my mirror as metal sheared away. Then he did something that still gives me nightmares. He turned his head slowly and looked directly at me, made eye contact through our respective mirrors, and smiled. Not a cruel smile, not manic or threatening. A perfectly pleasant smile, like he was greeting a neighbor over a fence, while he ground his truck into mine at highway speed. I made a decision. There was an exit coming up in 2 miles, one of those rural Montana exits that led to nothing but ranch roads and empty prairie. I started drifting right, slowly, forcing him to either match my movement or back off. He stayed attached. We took the exit together, our vehicles still locked in their grinding embrace. The off-ramp curved sharply right, and I felt my trailer start to slide. So did his pickup. We separated violently, his truck spinning across the road, mine jackknifing as I fought the skid. I came to rest perpendicular across both lanes. My headlights swept across the prairie as the cab rocked on its suspension. The pickup was on its side in the ditch, wheels still spinning. I grabbed my flashlight and tire iron. I'm not ashamed to admit I wanted a weapon and climbed down. My legs shook as I approached the overturned vehicle. Steam hissed from its engine. I could see the driver's side door hanging open, the interior light on. Empty. I swept my flashlight across the ditch, the prairie, back to the highway. Nothing. No footprints in the soft earth around the truck. No blood, no sign that anyone had ever been inside. The CB radio in my truck erupted with the woman's voice. "Are you there? Please respond." I walked back, feeling exposed under the vast Montana sky. "I'm here." "Where are you?" I took the next exit. "I'm in a gas station parking lot." I called the police. "They're on their way." "Good, stay there." "Stay in the light." "What happened? Did he follow you off?" I looked back at the overturned pickup, its wheels finally still. Yeah, he followed me off. The police found me an hour later, still sitting in my cab, staring at the empty truck. They searched it, ran the Venga, reported stolen 3 weeks earlier from a mall parking lot in Boise. Wiped completely clean, no prints, no DNA, no trace of human presence. The gas tank was empty. Had been empty, according to the gauge. Couldn't have driven 40 miles, let alone the distance that woman claimed. They took my statement, checked my trailer, 3 feet of side panels torn completely away, metal peeled back like a sardine can. Damage that shouldn't have been possible, without destroying the pickup's entire side panel. But that truck just had scratches. I never learned the woman's name. Didn't want to. We shared something on that highway that neither of us asked for, and sometimes shared trauma is better left unexamined. I still drive Montana Route 94. I don't have much choice, it's my route, my livelihood. But now when I see a vehicle behind me with high beams on, when I see a black pickup sitting at a rest stop with no one inside, when the CB radio crackles to life with a call for help in the dark hours, I remember that blank face and that smile. The thing about driving the southern routes in summer is the heat does strange things to people's minds. I'd been hauling construction equipment from El Paso to Atlanta, running through Louisiana on a stretch of I-10 that turned into a shimmering hallucination afternoon. The AC in my Peterbilt had given out somewhere around San Antonio, and I'd been roasting in my own sweat for 6 hours. The rest stop appeared like a mirage at mile marker 142. Small, old, the kind the state had mostly abandoned for bigger facilities with actual amenities. But it had shade trees and presumably working bathrooms, which made it paradise. 3 vehicles occupied the parking area. A silver minivan with Iowa plates, a motorcycle covered in dust and road grime, and a white panel van with no windows in the back. Nothing unusual. I pulled my rig into the truck section, killed the engine, and sat for a moment in the sudden silence. That's when I noticed the smell. Even with my windows up, even through the general funk of a Louisiana summer afternoon, something wrong was seeping into my cab. Sweet and rotten at the same time, like fruit left to decay in the sun. I'd smelled enough roadkill over the years to recognize death, but this was different, thicker, more present. I almost left. Should have. But my bladder had other ideas, and I convinced myself the smell was just swamp gas or a dead gator in the nearby wetlands. Louisiana was full of things dying in interesting ways. The bathroom building squatted under a cluster of live oaks, concrete block construction from the 1970s with small, horizontal windows too high to see through. The door hung slightly open. No other people were visible, not by the minivan, not near the covered picnic tables, nowhere. The smell intensified as I approached. My stomach twisted and I breathed through my mouth, which somehow made it worse because I could taste it. The bathroom was empty. 3 urinals, 2 stalls. Everything coated in the grime of neglect but functional. The smell was stronger inside, almost physical, pressing against my skin. I did my business quickly and was washing my hands when I heard it. Scratching. Deliberate, rhythmic, coming from the wall behind the far stall. I dried my hands on my jeans. The paper towel dispenser was empty and stood listening. The scratching continued, moving slowly across the wall from right to left, like someone dragging their fingernails against the concrete, or something with claws. "Hello?" My voice echoed flatly. The scratching stopped. I should have left then. Every instinct screamed at me to walk out, get in my truck, and put miles between myself and this place. But human curiosity is a terrible thing. We're drawn to wrongness like moths to flame, compelled to investigate the very things that might destroy us. I pushed open the stall door. Someone had carved words into the metal partition, deep gouges that must have taken hours. "They keep us in the van. Don't let them take you to the van. The van, the van, the van." The words repeated, getting smaller and more frantic toward the bottom, eventually becoming illegible scratches. The smell was overpowering now. I backed out of the stall, my vision swimming, and stumbled toward the door. That's when I heard the voices outside. "Can't just leave them? They'll—" "Told you we should have gone further. This place is too close. Shut up and help me." I pressed myself against the wall next to the door, peering through the gap. 2 men were standing by the white panel van. One was tall and heavily built, wearing a sweat-stained tank top. The other was shorter, wiry, with a baseball cap pulled low. They were opening the van's rear doors. What I saw in those 10 seconds, before they notice me, will follow me into whatever comes after death. The van's interior was modified, the original seating torn out and replaced with a metal framework. Chains hung from the framework. And in those chains, the tall man's head snapped toward the bathroom. We made eye contact. "We got a witness," he said calmly, like he was commenting on the weather. I ran. Not toward my truck, that would have meant crossing open ground, giving them a clear approach. Instead, I sprinted for the tree line beyond the rest stop, crashing through palmetto scrub and cypress knees. Behind me, I heard the men shouting, then the sound of boots on pavement. The Louisiana wetlands are a nightmare labyrinth even in daylight. Sucking mud, hidden water, snakes, gators, and vegetation so thick you can't see 3 feet ahead. I plunged into it anyway, because what was behind me was worse than anything the swamp could offer. I ran until my lungs burned, until my boots were full of brackish water, until I couldn't hear anything but my own gasping breath and the drone of insects. Then I crouched behind a massive cypress trunk and listened. Silence, no pursuit, no voices. Just the ordinary sounds of a swamp going about its business. I waited 20 minutes, watching water moccasins glide past, feeling things crawling in my clothes. Then I began working my way parallel to where I thought the highway should be, staying in the tree cover. It took me an hour to circle back within sight of the rest stop. I approached from the opposite side, moving tree to tree like a soldier in enemy territory. The parking area came into view. Empty. The minivan was gone. The motorcycle was gone. The white panel van was gone. My truck sat alone in the shimmer of heat waves rising from the asphalt. I broke cover and ran to my Peterbilt, expecting any second to hear shouts or gunfire. I climbed into the cab, turned the key with shaking hands, and had never been more grateful to hear an engine roar to life. I drove, didn't stop until I hit the Alabama line 2 hours later, and then only at a busy truck stop with dozens of witnesses and security cameras everywhere. I called the police from a payphone, told them everything. They found the rest stop, found nothing unusual. No van, no men, no evidence of anything wrong. The bathroom had those carved words, but the officer told me, They'd been there for years. They had reports of them from 2015, but they found something else. A quarter-mile down a maintenance road behind the rest stop, there was a drainage culvert that ran under the highway. Inside that culvert, they found personal effects. Wallets, IDs, jewelry, cell phones. 43 different people's belongings, and bones. Not from 43 people. They're still trying to sort that out, the forensics team told me later. But enough bones to fill 2 body bags. The case is still open. The white van was never found. Neither were the 2 men. Security footage from other rest stops along I-10 showed similar vehicles, but nothing conclusive. The FBI thinks it's part of a larger operation. What I stumbled onto was one node in a network that spans the Southern Highway system. I don't haul that route anymore. Took a pay cut to switch to northern runs, and I don't regret it for a second. But sometimes late at night, when I'm parked at a rest stop waiting out my mandatory rest period, I'll see a white van pull in. My hand goes to my phone, ready to call 911, but it always turns out to be a plumber, or a contractor, or a family on vacation. Always. So far. The thing that keeps me awake isn't what I saw in those 10 seconds before they noticed me. It's what I heard in the silence afterward when I was hiding in that swamp. A sound that might have been the wind through the trees, or might have been something else. It sounded like screaming very far away, muffled by metal walls. And it didn't stop for a very long time.